morning, feeling the weight of the world on my shoulders. I wanna move closer, but I don't control it. I know I've been trying, the door isn't open. I know it sound funny, but really though, in the beginning we really close. Now we just cruising up on the coast. Don't wanna lose you, I really don't. My God, I'm working so hard. I let my guards down and I'm feeling so far. You won't cut me off and I'm ready to grow and I'm ready to know you more. Please, I honestly say I'm mature. It ain't my decision, it's yours. But I will persuade with my arm, cause I'm ready to run to your arms. I just want you to know that I wanna go to a place where I find you, a place I call home, a place where I'm not alone. And maybe I'll grow just a little bit more, and I'll be adored. Then I'll be adored. Then I'll be adored. Then I'll be adored. Then I'll be adored. I go back and forth when I feel your presence. I'm above the world. There isn't much better, but then I fall levels and levels below it. Don't know where I'm going, don't know where I'm holding. I say I gave up, but I know I didn't. It's just my frustration, I'm only human. I act like I know what I'm really doing. As long as it's you that I'm really choosing. I will never give up, no, I wanna do it your way. You're the king of the world, only wanna do what you say. I know that it's possible to give back my heart to you. Do it that you choose. I just want you to know that I wanna go to a place where I find you, a place I call home, a place where I'm not alone. And maybe I'll grow just a little bit more, and I'll be adored. Then I'll be adored. Then I'll be adored. Then I'll be adored. Then I'll be adored. I know that you love me, I really do. Just wanna do right by you till it's through. Please don't ignore me, please just adore me. Wanna be closer to you. I just wanna make you happy. A shining light looking right at me. I give to you gladly, that's my reaction. I just want you to know that I wanna go to a place where I find you, a place I call home, a place where I'm not alone. And maybe I'll grow just a little bit more, and I'll be adored. Then I'll be adored. Then I'll be adored. Then I'll be adored. Then I'll be adored.
Okay.
Welcome to Parents and Pennies, where family meets financing and every dollar counts. Brought to you by MITM Business Consultants. Join your hosts, Art Abrahamian, with over 12 years of experience in finance, banking, and business advising, and Roy Rosales, a father of two and coach to many, who has an extensive background in real estate. These two family men are here for you, bringing real stories, practical tips, and financial wisdom every week to keep your family thriving. They'll help you secure your family's financial future through simple, memorable financial adjustments that will help you achieve your financial goals. Because when it comes to family and finances, it's not about having more. It's about making the most of what you have. Here's Art and Roy.
What's going on, everybody? I knew this was going to be messed up. Hold up. Oh, all right, I got to move this way. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Parents and Pennies. I believe this is episode 15, 14. It's one of those. Roy, what's going on, brother? How are you?
It's been a blessing, man. We're here, man. Another day that God blesses us to be with the right people in our life and, do what we do, what we love to do. So it's nothing but a blessing.
That's right. We're going to get right into it. Roy's got an appointment coming up soon here, so we're just going to get right into it. And today's topic is about leadership, right? So how does leadership in a family setting, how does leadership in a business setting, how does it all tie in together? And I think that's really important because we talk about how as family men that we have to step up and do all these things. And today we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that. So, there are leadership parallels too, right? So we want to dive into the leadership parallels. And those I consolidated down to two main points, which is clear decision-making and shared visions that create stability both at home and in business. And decisive leaders, was that decisive leaders boost productivity by 25%. That was from the HBR. I think when you think about a ship, right, whether it's a financial ship, whether it's a family ship, you think about these things and you go, okay, there has to be a captain and a co-captain, right? So whomever that co-captain is for you, whether it's a significant other, wife, husband, whomever, there has to be designated roles. There has to be designated goals. There has to be designated, visions where it's like, hey, as a family, we see the main vision. We see what needs to be done. But who's going to take the lead? And I used to say this even working at the bank. When I would see couples who would argue about who was in charge of the finances, it's like two people can't be in charge of the finances, guys. One of you has to step back and allow the other person to take control if you're trying to do this in a non-confrontational way. Because when you have two people trying to steer, you're going to have a big issue. So I think we can attest to that, where it's like taking that leadership role in our households and in our businesses where we are the ones to make sure that things are going the way that they're going. Doesn't necessarily mean that we're not giving people the opportunity to chime in. It just simply means that we're taking on the responsibility. We're saying that, hey, if this doesn't work, if this does work, then, we're the ones to blame. That's just my take on the parallel of that personally. I don't know. What do you think?
I believe that all falls into that, do you believe in yourself to lead the business or lead your family? So just this week, right, I was talking to my wife, and my wife said, like, straight out, I can't do anything without you. Like, I can't. So it also reminds me of, like, okay, I still got to lead regardless how long we've been together. Like, I still got to be purposeful about things because she relies on me to make sure that I lead her the right way or give her the right answer.
Right.
So that was, again, another reminder of why I should be more intentional, more focused, and even more aware of everything, because she needs me. That she told me, I can't do anything without you. And which is true. Like, sometimes I was like, hey, go handle that. And she's like, wait, well, what do you need me to do? Right? Instead of just having her, like, letting her know, like, this is what I need you to do. Then she does that.
Yeah.
Right? But that's where, if you can't lead, then how are you expecting the spouse to be and see the vision with you? Which that's one of the things, right? Seeing the vision. You need to have a co-pilot. You need to, or else you can't see two things at once. So having that in place is gonna be so helpful in business and in your marriage and in your family, is having one leader. Not two of them cannot wear the pants.
Yeah, and whatever that looks like to your relationship, that's fine. But it's just the reality is you cannot steer a car with two wheels. You have to have one wheel and one co-pilot. So, communication, I feel, is the next core topic, where it's open, consistent dialogue reduces conflict and builds trust in both settings, right? Not just business, but in personal as well. Statistically proven through Gallup that strong communication raises engagement by 50% and reduces family disputes. So just simply having a conversation with your significant other and saying, hey, this is how this is going. This is how this made me feel. Hey, I want to hold you accountable for this issue that came about. Even though you may seem that, it could be a potential conflict. That's just through conflict resolution skills that you have to work through that. But communication is core. I think in any relationship, whether it's a business, whether it's a personal relationship, whether it's any sort of relationship, and I think the communication aspect is massive. I'm a big proponent of communication. I hired somebody, giving a story, I hired somebody to do web development, right? I love the guy to death, and he's fantastic at what he does, but his biggest Achilles heel is his communication. Even to date, even after all the work and attention and time and effort and everything I've done to try to address this issue, it still seems like it continues to be an issue. And what it does for me as the business owner is it puts me in a position where I do not feel comfortable growing and expanding that division because I feel like I cannot trust that person to consistently perform and show up. And it sucks because now I'm actively being held back by somebody else. But this is one of those situations where it's like I've communicated with this person on multiple occasions. Hey, like this really needs to get addressed. This really needs to be fixed. This really needs to be, and it's like nothing. Right? Like he acknowledges it. He says he gets it, but it's getting to a point where it's like, I feel like I can't even hold that person accountable right now because we have so many active projects going on that if I don't want to overstep, because if I overstep, it's like I put myself in a position to get screwed where it's like, I've already paid this person to do all this stuff. If he walks out right now, like I am just royally, effed. And I've told him that. I said, that's how I feel. Like I flat out said that. I said, this is how I feel. Exactly what I just said in this last topic I'm talking about right now. Like I have communicated. I showed vulnerability by saying, I feel like I'm stuck with you right now. And I said, I don't know how that makes you feel as a professional, but if somebody told me I feel like I'm stuck with you, I would take that really, really hard. And I would look and reflect on myself and say, hey, damn, like I'm a liability, and it's crazy because it's like I don't want to be known as that guy. How can I better myself, right? How can I do these things to do it? And I just feel like sometimes you have to know when like that leadership element also falls on you to turn around and say, hey, it's time to stop whatever's not working. And it's like I feel like I'm getting to that point, right? Where it's like I'm getting ready to topple an entire division that I created just because I'd rather just not have this headache. I flat out told this person, I was like, the most stressful part of my day now is you. Because I can't get a hold of you consistently. You can't give me status reports consistently. So I am constantly on the edge of my seat, and I don't like that. So when I feel like even talking about it right now, I'm getting that anxiety thinking about it, where it's like, I just can't do it. So I think communication is really important, and in understanding how to take that communication and go from there, because it's like, if you have expectations from somebody to do something and that person's just not coming through, how do you hold them accountable? How do you hold your spouse accountable? How do you hold your employees accountable? I don't know. It's my take. I want to hear what you think about that.
Well, I believe a lot of times, we use communication and we assume we have to be great at it for us to communicate then. I think any communication is good. It's just sometimes when you don't communicate, that's the gap that we have. That's the worries. Those are the doubts that creep in and come in, and that's what we don't want. So if you are not communicating with your spouse, with your kids, with whoever's around you, like it's going to affect the outcome. Because the last time I checked, I don't read minds and I'm not psychic. So I can't assume that you're going to, no, you're telling me okay, but I want more conversation. Yeah. And you're not letting me know more. So this is also for the young kids out there, young adults, 14 to 18 right now. Like, communication is going to be key for you to keep a job. Yeah. Communication is going to be key for you to get a promotion. Communication is going to be key for your employees to respect you. Like, that's where and it doesn't matter where you come from. Like, communication is gonna be key. You can't be. I cannot ask you, hey, how's your day, and you be like, I'm all right, and I'm like, but you don't look all right. Is there anything troubling you? Like, okay.
You're only gonna get what you put in.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's what it is.
So that's where I would just, talk to, and the advice is, like, communicate. If you're frustrated, say it. As long as it's out there, now that other person knows.
Yeah.
Right. The communication has to be there, because, I mean, just for you, like, you're first of all, you have other things to put your energy on, but instead of putting it on there, you're now worried about this person that is not considering that. And that's where it's frustrating, because you want to move forward and something else is trying to pull you back.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. And that is the big issue. And that's where it shouldn't be out there. Hey, guys, you shouldn't hold someone back because you would hate someone holding you back. So don't do that to other people. Communicate. Have a conversation, man. And so that's my take too, man. I don't have time for that too.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things too where you think about it, and it ties into two different things, right? It ties into emotional intelligence, and then it ties into conflict resolution as well. So emotional intelligence being like, you have to be emotionally aware that you're doing these things to someone else, right? Mm-hmm. And it seems like when we talk about certain scenarios, there are people who don't see that. It's like what you're saying. Hey, you're actively holding somebody back from moving forward.
Yeah.
And it's like there's a level of emotional intelligence where it's like, I don't want to do that to somebody.
Yeah.
If I start seeing that I am the reason that somebody is stressing or doing whatever it is they're doing, I'm going to acknowledge that, reflect on it, and then I'm going to see how can I make that go any differently. Now, sometimes there is no way to make it go differently. It's just a situation that's at hand. But, 90%, and this was a statistic found out by Talent Smart, 90% of emotional intelligence is what drives high-performing leaders, right? Mm-hmm. And then you think about how that allows you to do conflict resolution, because being able to sit down with a person and say, hey, this is what's going on. This is because I plan on having that conversation this week with, like, where is this going? Because it can't work like this. Like, I'm done. I've tried. I've talked about it. I've asked you. This is what is that. This is that. It's already been to a point where it's like I am no longer comfortable moving forward unless there's some sort of commitment. And that commitment's not just met with acknowledgement. That commitment's also tracked with, time management and how they're going to do these things. Because I think it's important as a good leader to understand time management and delegation. I think that's a massive thing, because you can't run everything, right? When people are like, oh, that CEO of this company is trash. It's like, the CEO's trash, or it's his leadership team, or it's his management team that's trash? Because the CEO can't just manage every aspect of a company, especially if it's a big company, right? That's why we have managers. That's why we have division leaders. That's why we have all these parts. It's because we have to delegate these tasks accordingly to ensure that these tasks are being met. It's the same thing with like your real estate stuff, right?
Yeah.
You don't sit there and do all the paperwork and all this by yourself. You have coordination, transaction coordinators, you have brokers, you have this, you have that. I myself going through the exam right now will tell you that based on the exam, it tells you need to be all these things.
Yeah.
A contractor, an appraiser, a licensee, a broker, a this, a that, a this, a that. But the reality is, we've discussed it, the test is flawed. The test does more focus on not being a realtor than being a realtor. But when you look at the scope of a realtor, because I used to ask you, I'm like, is that true? Do you do this? Like, we don't do that.
Yeah. Well, because of liabilities, you know what I mean? You cannot do that. But also, like, again, what are you hired to do? And so one of the things about circling back to communication, right? So the last couple of times that we have not got together or anything like that is because of communication. Not because we forgot. It's because, hey, you have a newborn. And you texted me and be like, hey, man, I've only had 2 hours of sleep. Bro, I got you. No worries. We'll skip it for next week.
Yeah.
And like, that was a communication. But if I would have came here, you would have not told me, left me hanging, right? That's a whole different story. And also going back again, last week I had a little mini seminar. and I had to go early, and he adjusted his time. But then again, it was too quick of a time, so we had to postpone it to this week. So communication is going to be so helpful at anything. Whoever you speak to, whoever you're involved with, is going to be so important for them to understand you. Seek to understand, to be understood. And that's where and that's where for me has made the biggest difference. I was like, hey, I told you, don't be mad at me, but I told you. You know what I mean? Like, I told you, now you know why I didn't show up or why I feel like this, right? Don't get mad. Like I did tell you. Now you, on the other hand, you're like, okay, he did was tell me like he's down or whatever it happened. So my tone and everything is now so different. But the understanding part is like, okay, I got you, bro. Because I have two kids. So they were newborns. I'm aware the sleepless nights, my wife calls it zombie mode.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I get it. I get it.
Dude, I'm telling you, I was telling Roy, I was like, I'm on zombie mode today too, but because I can't, I feel like there's certain times where it's like, I just can't. And then there's certain times where it's like, I don't care, I got to show up. And today was one of those days where like, I don't care, I got to show up. I'm on like 4 hours of sleep. I swear I was telling Roy, I'm like, my kid now feels in the ether when she's like, Dad's got to get up early tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep him up all night. Because every other night it's fine. But the day before podcast or the day before I got to do something super early, it's like, you're going to keep me, you're going to stay up with me all night.
And sometimes things like that, man, it's funny you say that. It's just the negative things in life trying to keep you from bringing out the positive, the awareness, right, to our community. Like, this is a great conversation, great things to have to anyone. But people don't want to hear that, or the negative people, the haters, the envy people, or just the devil itself. I don't want you to go. I want you to feel tired.
Yeah.
Right? So now it's just saying that we're doing something right, man. You know, the positivity, the conversations that we're having, they're real. We ain't faking this conversation because this is real facts right there. If you don't have communication, you'll be fired anywhere.
Oh, yeah. You're either not going to, even if you're not fired, if you don't have good communication, you're going to keep people from wanting to dive deeper with you in a business relationship, in a personal relationship, because you become unreliable. And the moment somebody deems you unreliable, it's really hard to come back from that. It just genuinely is. And I truly believe that model, you have to model the behavior, right? Having accountability and then modeling the behavior that you're discussing. Like, how can we expect our family to communicate if we don't communicate, right? Yeah. It's taking the lead, taking the reins and saying, hey, I want this. Okay, cool. Well, how are you going to get that if you yourself are not going to adhere to those guidelines? And a lot of people say, do what I say, not what I do. Yeah. But that's kind of the hard thing, right? Like, you can't sit there and say, hey, eat healthy, don't do this, but then you yourself are eating like junk and not doing this, because it makes you sound like a hypocrite. And it's like, yeah, do what I say, not what I do. But when you're giving me hypocritical advice, it's hard for me to take what you say seriously.
Yeah. Don't do drugs, but you're the one doing drugs.
It's like, don't do drugs, kids. Okay, but you're actively doing heroin right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but don't do what I do.
Yeah.
Do what I say.
Yeah.
And it's like, I get that. There's reason for that sometimes, but I could see you getting away with one of those things here and there, but not living your life by it. Because you want to, if our kids look at us, they're not going to remember what we say. No. They're going to remember what we do. And if what we say is what we do, then they remember those too. But I feel like if you tell your kids stay in school, and then you don't care about education, you're not pursuing education, you're not pushing them to stay in education, you're saying, well, look at me, look how I struggled. Yeah, that works, but what are you doing aside from just pointing out, look at me, right? Like, what else are you doing to hold yourself accountable and model the behavior? Okay, I didn't get that opportunity. Okay, you didn't get that opportunity. I go back to this all the time, right? When we were doing that event you had me come to. Yeah. Where the guy I was talking about, these funds and those funds and how to set up money for, financial success in the future. And the guy was like, oh, it's too late for me. And I looked at him with 3 little kids in his audience with him, with his kids. And I'm like, what does that have to do with your kids? Yeah. Like, yeah, it's too late for you. Now you've given up on your kids because it's too late for you. Like, I pointed at them. I was like, what about them?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like, don't sit there and make everything about you either, right? It's like just because you failed in something doesn't mean you failed at it.
Yeah.
It was simply just a life lesson that you now get to pass on, whether that's to your friends, to your family, to your kids, to your loved one. Part of being a leader is teaching through successes and failures.
Yep.
So that the person can become better. Because again, how do we model behavior? Kids emulate parents, just as employees follow leaders. You do not leave a company, you leave management. So if the manager is not doing things properly, why would you care? And all of us have worked for companies where we're like, I'm not doing that. This fool doesn't even do that.
Yeah,
so why would
exactly.
I do it? And it's true, right? But then you think about, from a corporate side of things, KPI metrics, sales metrics, like those are how you hold yourself accountable. You review your metrics, you go over these things, and you see how do we drive measurable results and how do we gauge measurable results. Companies see 18% higher productivity, this is through AMA, if they have accountability. So just by holding yourself accountable and not doing anything differently, just simply holding yourself to the accountability that you set the standard to, you will see an 18% increase in productivity.
Yeah. It's just that. And you know, it reflects on you. It reflects on your family. You know, the way you act, the way you pursue. You know, it all comes back to you at the end of the day. And that's where those things are not being met or seen by people, is like, I don't care, but you know, this reflects you and your family, reflects everything, right? So have the dignity to, you know, I got to do better. I can do better. Would it ruin my day to be at my best today? You know what I mean? Like, ask yourself, like, would it ruin my day if I'm at my best? Or would it ruin my day if I'm at my worst? Like, those are things that you got to ask yourself every day. You know, am I doing what's best? Is it crazy to be at my best today? Is it? You know, and it's not that crazy. It's your life.
Yeah.
You know, but the way you see it, the way you perform, you know, you acting like you don't care. Okay, man. So if I fire you, still don't care. Don't care. You get less hours. Don't care. Right? Don't be getting mad at me, because now I got to worry about everything else. I got to be worrying about, I'm a manager, I'm a district manager, I'm this, I'm that. I'm a business owner. I worry about everything else. If that doesn't get done, I get fired.
Right.
It's on me, not on you. Right? So those are just things, man. It's allowing yourself to be in that position and be like, hey, man, I got to take ownership.
Before we wrap up what you're talking about, I had a conversation with an employee of mine once, and I said, look, dude, I need to break down the severity of these situations, right? Because there was some stuff I found out that he wasn't doing, and it really hurt, like, emotionally, because I love and trust wholeheartedly. If I love you with all my heart. If I trust you with all my heart. So this was like the second time that I caught this person not doing what they said they were going to do. And it got to the point where it's like, even the conversation the second time, like the first time was like, hey, man, that really upset me, this, that. Second time was like, all right, bro, now you're genuinely upsetting me, and now I'm feeling hurt because I feel like I'm being taken advantage of, right? And I know that's not the intention, but I still communicated how I felt. And I was pretty much like, if this happens again, I'm done. Like, I really am. I just can't do this anymore. But one of the things was, I said to the employee, and I said, listen, dude, if you were to lose this job, you would lose a job. I'm not saying that you're not valuable. I'm not saying you're not important, but we have two levels of loss comparatively.
Yeah.
You will lose a job, and that's it. And it sucks. You may like this job, but if you lose your job, you will always get another job. It might not be the job you want. It might be better. It might be worse. Who knows?
Yeah.
But all you're losing is a job. If I lose this job, I lose everything, because this is not just a job for me. This is what feeds my family. This is what feeds me. This is what provides for the community. This is what, if my company goes down, all the subsequent companies that are with me will suffer with me, because I can't provide the services that they trust me to do. And then now I'm having to scramble to figure out how I'm going to keep my family together, how I'm going to keep my life together, because I have so much more vested to lose than anybody in this company. And it's just, That's how every owner, and this is the problem, is owners use that excuse for how they overwork their employees. I tend to not do that. In the beginning, I will take accountability and say I've definitely overworked my employees, but that's because in the beginning I was so hungry that I was like, everybody's like me. But then I realized, no, nobody can care about this as much as I do, and I don't expect anybody to care about it as much as I do. But anybody who has cared about it as much as I do, or at least puts in that additional effort and all that stuff, has always been taken care of in any way that could possibly be done. There's still room for growth. There's still room for opportunity. There's constantly things being done. And anybody who's been with me from day one has been rocking with me to this day. But I think it's important to understand that, like, when you're building a business, when you're building a family, and then we'll break away with this last portion, you have to build patience, resilience. You have to build leadership. You have to add structure, and you have to add planning. And when you can try to tie all that in together, your household, your family, your business, your relationships, your friendships, if take away anything from this guy, just take away communication and accountability. Hold yourself accountable and try to actively communicate. And you'll find that your leadership skills will naturally go up. Mm-hmm. Because if you can communicate that effectively, then you can now start to lead the ship in the direction that you're trying to get it to go. But if you don't say anything and you just hold resentment and you just continue to make these points, all you're going to do is create a bubble that when it does pop, it's going to be irreparable.
Yep. No, just you nailed it right there. It's just that is that simple. It's not easy, but it's simple, right? And just do that, little baby steps at a time, and you're going to get better, but just try. Yeah. At least try. And that's it. That's all we want you to do is just try. But sometimes people just don't try. Okay, cool, man. Then, this is my life we're talking about. If this doesn't work, it not only affects me, it affects my wife. It affects my kids. And guess what? Those are more important than you.
Yeah.
So get that right. And you should be good, guys. At the end of the day, you are a blessing. God has you here for a purpose. Go handle it.
Yeah. I agree. I think that's a good segment to walk away from. We want to thank everybody for tuning in today, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Let's go.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Parents and Pennies. We hope you found our tips and insights helpful. Remember, it's not about how much you have. It's about making the most of what you've got. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other parents who could use a little financial guidance. Join us next week for more real stories, advice, and the financial wisdom you need to keep your family thriving. Until then, keep making those pennies count.